The gap between training and doing this as a profession is greater than it has ever been in the past. Not because your teachers were wrong, the technique was real, the training matters, but because the system that it was built around, it doesn't exist anymore. So today I'm giving you three things. 3 layers that your training never covered that are actually the difference between a trained performer and a working one. Stick around for the last one because it's the layer that most performers never get to, and it's the reason why the ones that do get to it stick around and have a long-term career in this industry. Here's what your training was built around. You prepare your book, your rep, you know how to sing your 16 bars, you know how to perhaps go to a dance call if you're a dancer. And then if you're a good fit, you get a call back, you do the call back, and then if you book the show, great. And if you don't, you go on to the next one. That model assumed a few things. It assumed that the open call was the way to audition. It assumed that the audition season had, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was consistent. It assumed that talent plus training plus showing up was the path to success. None of that is how this works anymore. Audition season is not a season. It's not a once a year thing. It's happening, constantly. You're not just showing up in a room and you're seeing the people that are there. You're submitting to something, and it probably feels like a deep, dark, black hole because you don't know who's submitting. You don't know who's attending the first round of auditions or callbacks because it's thousands of people all over the world. This is a completely different game, and nobody has updated that curriculum. I watched this happen in real time, and I would see my students go through a curriculum, graduate, get into the world and go, wait, 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 wait. Quietly, the industry has been shifting. The ones that figured it out were the ones that started to see success, that started to see auditions coming back to them, that started seeing connections happening. And sometimes that wasn't always the most talented person in the room. It was the ones that figured out how to get into the rooms in the new way. That gap is what we are fixing today. I'm going to walk you through these 3 layers now to add to your training, not to take away or replace it, but to build upon what you have just learned and crafted and created. Because this is the foundation that actually works in the industry now. Layer 1 is knowing your casting lane. And I mean really knowing it, not just having this vague sense of, I'm just gonna submit and I'm just gonna hope that they see something in me and call me back for the role that they see right. No, 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 we cannot do that anymore. Because here's the truth. When thousands, and I mean thousands of people are submitting for one show or one role, you need to stand out in a way that is authentic, in a way that says, this is the essence of who you are. All of your materials are telling the same story, and you know who you are, so that it comes across with confidence, with clarity, with knowledge and understanding of your job and where you function in this industry right now. Casting, or the creative team, whoever is looking at the tapes, depending on what you're submitting for, they may be looking for a certain thing and you may not be that thing. But when you come across and they're watching your tapes, your content, before they even bring you in, the materials that you put out, they may come back and go, oh my God, that person is so wonderful, but not for this role, but I'm gonna keep them in mind. The faster and the more clear that you can be on who you are and what stories you wanna tell, what characters, what roles you wanna play, and where your strengths are, the more you're going to be seen as somebody that understands this industry, that understands their job. And that starts with an honest audit. And this is by far one of the most challenging things that we have to do now. Not just you, but me as well, as I get farther along in my career, is do an audit. What auditions are you getting? And when I say auditions, I mean not open calls, not EPAs, not ECCs, or even, just a non-union open call. What auditions are you getting back? Meaning an EcoCast, a request for tapes, a request to come in an appointment. Maybe you have an agent and your agent gets you an appointment after they see your materials, or maybe they know you. What is landing? What is not landing? Are we missing some puzzle piece in the middle? If you're hearing crickets, then something's not landing. Because here's what I see with my coaching clients all the time. Performers are submitting, they're hearing nothing back, and then they're wondering what is wrong with them. And that starts to hit you emotionally and mentally because you're spending time and energy and money going to every open call, submitting for every single thing that's out there. And you're just kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall. and then wondering why nothing is sticking. The problem, usually, is not your talent. It is your materials. They're not telling a clear enough story of the person you are, the artist you are, your strengths, and the essence of the work that you do best. Not like who you could play if they gave you any chance in the world, but like the roles that you are really, really right for, that fit like a glove. And that takes honesty. It takes a willingness to sit down and really look at what are the adjectives that you feel represent you, what are the adjectives that you feel like are your top 5 dream roles that you could play right now that are being produced, and then what's missing? Are they lining up? Are they not lining up? Are you being honest about the roles that you're really right for? Because when I started to really audit my career the last 5 or 6 years as the industry has changed, because I am doing this as well right with you, when I started to do this, it really shifted everything for me, not just as a performer, but honestly as a person and as a human. Layer 2 is building upon this, and it is looking at your career like a business. What does a sustainable performing career look like now in this current time? What does your day look like right now? What does spending time in hobbies and in work, what is your support jobs? How else are you going to make money and income so that you can submit, audition, not have to quit this career? You know, how are you supporting yourself financially? Where do you need to live so that you can have the best life for you at this chapter? And that may be New York, it may be California, it may be wherever you are in the world right now. How can you give yourself the best shot to be successful in this career, not just physically, geographically, but mentally as well? Because here is something that I can say with so much confidence. You will more than likely not be able to support yourself financially on just your performing jobs. And I know that is not easy to hear, but it is the truth. And I would rather give you the truth than some dreamy vision of you being able to constantly be performing and making an income, and that's all you can do. Would we all love that? Absolutely. But it's not reality. And pretending otherwise is going to set you on a path that will not be successful, will not be sustainable, and you'll be very angry and bitter. And I see this happen all the time to people in the industry as they get older. Because we've been taught in our training, you know, if you're good enough, if you put all your effort in, you will make it work, you will be successful, and that is just not the truth. It might for a while, it might for a job or a contract, or maybe you take a cruise ship job for a year or get a contract on Broadway for a year, but you never know when that is going to go away, how far the gaps are going to be in between. So I want you to be prepared for that. And I want you to build an infrastructure around that to support yourself financially and also mentally and emotionally. That means finding other work that excites you, finding other work that benefits you maybe in a different way. It doesn't have to be acting based. It could be something that you enjoy that gives you an outside perspective, an outside group of friends or a community, something that you can do from home, something that you can do on tour, whatever that may be for you. Then this is what happens. You're going to go to an audition, you're going to have a callback, you're going to submit a tape, and you're not going to be doing it out of desperation. You're not going to be relying on that paycheck. You're not going to be relying on that job to sustainably get you to the next month or two. You're going to be making decisions, not based on paycheck, but based on strategy. That is what the business layer gives you, and that is what your training didn't teach you. Layer 3 is the one I really wanted you to stick around to, so I'm glad you're here, and it's the one most people miss. The industry is going to hand you a lot of rejection. A lot of no's, a lot of closed doors, a lot of nothingness, crickets, because you're sending out tapes. And essentially a lot of seasons where it feels like nothing is moving and nothing is happening for you. If you approach this in a state of rejection, your mental and emotional health will take a toll. I have seen this happen so many times with people in the industry. They are talented, they are trained, they are hardworking, and they just get caught in this cycle of rejection and they can't sustain it any longer. So they burn out, they get bitter, they get so hurt and emotional that they just can't do it for them, and it's not worth it for their long-term mental and emotional health. And it's not because they were not good enough or talented enough. It's because life gave them something that shifted their path for whatever reason, and they had no framework on how to navigate the industry and the infrastructure that you need to have now moving forward. So here's what I want you to hear. You have to love this industry so much that the outcome is not going to be the goal. The process of you doing this career, auditioning, performing, supporting yourself financially, figuring out the next steps and the next strategy and the next path, that has to be because you love that process so much. Because you're coming at it from a standpoint of, I'm okay if I don't book this job. I'd love to, but I'll be ready for the next one. And I'll learn from my mistakes and I'll get 1% better every single day, every single time. And I'm curious. I love that word, right? I'm curious. I'm curious at what could be next for me. I'm curious at, could I do commercials? I'm curious, could I do some type of dance concert in LA with some famous singer? I'm curious, should I get my real estate license? Should I get my Pilates license? I'm curious at what are the things I could do in my life that would then continue to support me to still be an actor, performer, singer, noun, whatever you use to describe yourself. Because the highs of this industry are high and the lows are low. And instead of being high and low and bouncing back and forth, you're going to stay right here in the middle. This is you, right here in the middle. So when the highs come, you're like, okay, I know how to handle this. I know how to keep myself stable and grounded, to save my money, to know how to do my taxes, to know how to prepare for retirement, to know how to keep my debt super low, income-driven assets. I know how to do that. That way, when I'm down here, I'm balanced. I can bring myself up to a middle ground rather than swinging so low and then swinging so high, and that feeling inconsistent and imbalance, and the mental, emotional, psychological effects are too hard to handle. This is something that really no conservatory, no 2-year, no studio, no BFA, MFA, BA, boop, 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 that you don't teach that. You don't learn that in those programs. Now you know. So here's what I want you to do this week for me. Number 1, I want you to do an audit of all of your auditions and callbacks, not submissions, not open calls. And if you need a tracker for this, you can use mine. I've created a free download of mine, a clean one that you can use as either an example or a template you want to start this out, or inspo. You can get a free Google Doc copy of that spreadsheet in the description box below. Sit down, write down every single role and show that you've been called in for, and ask yourself, is that the right roles that I want to be seen for? Is it clicking? Is it working? What isn't working? Start looking for patterns. That way you can say, okay, I am in my right casting lane, or I'm not in my right casting lane. I need to figure this out. Number 2, write down every skill that you have that is not performing. Anything someone asks you for help with, anything you do on the side, maybe for free or a little extra income, write down every skill that you have free of judgment. And then ask yourself honestly, which one of these could possibly make me revenue that is going to be little to no income to invest to see if it's income driven and something that you're actually excited about and that you could literally build tomorrow. And number 3, think about the last time you had a no or a silence that made you spiral. What would that have looked like if you had received that rejection, that no, that silence, if you were in a grounded place instead? Start building that muscle now before your next audition. None of this replaces your training. It's building on the next 3 layers, which are knowing your lane, building the business, and protecting your long game. These are what turns a trained performer into a working one, and it's what I'm here to help you with. If this resonated, drop me a comment. What's one thing your training never taught you that you wish you'd known sooner? I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your response. Like and subscribe if this was so helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video.